I was asked this the other day, am I proud to be British? I'd say in my context of being British is not the context that they keep trying to push. They keep talking about this British value stuff. That's something that was made up. That is not part of Britain. That's something they just created out of thin air. Um, Reality is, there used to be my Britain, from where I come from. We used to have allegiance to the Queen, because obviously the Queen's not there anymore. Used to have things like the national anthem. Used to get roped into doing church services and things like that. Sense of community, sense of ownership, sense of purpose, sense of belonging, sense of dignity and self-respect. That's where I come from being British. The stuff we're in at the moment, they keep trying to change it, and I'll tell you now, go back to the core stuff. Ignore the tripe these people are doing. A lot of this is globalist, a lot of it's feminist, a lot of it is false integration. I mean, they keep talking about DI. I keep putting DIE, but DI as something that's good. It's not. They call it leveling up. It's not leveling up. Let's face it, right? If you can't get the numbers in, so if you're doing the great white replacement on the military, the police, the Air Force, the Navy, and you can't hit your quotas, maybe it's because a lot of those people don't see the same connections to being aligned with being British. Maybe it's because they may come from cultures that everybody's a bloody doctor, so why the hell would they want to be in the army? Maybe it's because they don't see it as their army, navy, or whatever. They're just here. Maybe it's a case of being here is just for money, and they don't really like it here. There's many reasons that you can't fill these numbers, but it could also be the fact that if I'm being given a job that in theory could have gone to somebody else very easily, and I got it because I'm purely white, Indian or whatever, maybe I wouldn't want the job because I'm not getting it on merit. I'd feel like an imposter. I'd feel like I've no right of taking it. It's a bit like winning a boxing match or something where you got the other guy to tie their hand behind the back and then go, oh, I beat a champion. And it's like, yeah, that's because he weren't allowed to box. It's a devaluation of everything. It's not the best and the brightest. If you join, say, the reason people like the SAS is because it's recognised as being the best of the best. The same reason people want to join the commandos. The same people want to be part of something and have a purpose and see it is not a job. And I think this is the problem with a lot of these people that are manipulating the context of the value in being in the Navy, in the Air Force, they're seeing it as it's just another job. It's like almost as if it's like, why? Because these twats are DEI hires, or these people that are very left wing and gone through their lives supporting left wing agendas, which is what's allowed them to climb up the greasy corporate ladder, or within the Air Force, Navy, or whatever, down this same agenda that thankfully Trump's dissecting over in the US. Because my view is very, very simple. There is no need for it to be based on colour, no reason for it to be based on race, religion, or anything else. It should be the desire to be part of something that is important to the nation. The part of you're serving, well, see, I can't say king and country because I'm not a fan of Charles. I was never a real big fan of the Queen, but the reason the Queen was important is I found that she was probably She made more sense. Charles just doesn't make sense to me. He just seems like an imposter. But I'll leave that. But the point being is, you're serving the nation, so even that you would have to take into account that. Yeah, I'm trying not to say it, but I'm going to have to. All I see is Charles and Camilla is out of like something like the TV series Shameless. They just don't seem the right people. And to be fair, the relationship with Charles and Camilla also doesn't help either, especially when the truth has come out over the time with Lady Spencer or Princess Diana. So it just makes it hard for me to try and justify it, because it's like I says, my British values are still there. They're real values, and it's not the crap they're trying to talk about. Like diversity is our strength and all this. Nah, they just made that crap up. It's a bit like people whinging about the British as an empire, because it took so much of the world by storm. Britannia ruled the waves. Yeah, we did. I'm proud of that. I don't care what other people think. I'm proud of the fact that we had a fighting nation that was strong enough to take on other places. The fight has been sucked out of people these days. And the reason I bring the importance of the fight up is because that's what they've done by sucking the true value of being British and being a man and being an individual, in the sense of true individuality, not this tainted stuff. I was going to say something else that they keep trying to tell you is the way you should live. You should live with your ethics, morals, and standards that drive you in a positive way. That's it. Basic. The stuff they've done has confused people. It's making it more difficult to actually stick to being a true person. But at the same time, all I say, guys, is never give up. I will remain British through my life. I'm still British. We have in our house, we've got 2 Union flags. We've also got the flag of St. Andrew. Don't have St. George because we're not English. Because at the same time, we are still connected to our heritage. It's a military heritage as well as a British heritage and a Scottish heritage. And I think that's the important piece. I recommend anybody, if you're a dad or if you're the child, remember where you came from, because they're trying to erode it and destroy it. You're better than that. You deserve better, and that's where your principles come from. That's where you come from. That everything you've become comes from, because you need to have a good foundation to drive everything else forward. And knowing where you come from keeps you based, keeps you centered. It gives you that home. This is why the bit where people are talking about this great invasion piece on the UK at the moment is, as they say, we're losing our homeland. They're trying to steal our homeland. And you have to be very careful how you word this stuff these days with the communist government we got. But my view is, I don't see it ending well, because history has always dictated the pendulum goes one way, then it goes sharp the other way. It doesn't sort of do that. It suddenly just whips right the way, because you suddenly go from people are unhappy to full-blown rebellion. And it's getting very tight now for most people financially. They're also hearing about all the other stuff going on around the housing. They're now going to start flooding all the rented accommodation with all the illegals, which means that rents are about to go up again. And I'm getting close to, it's not even worth me being in the UK, because I rent a place here and financially it's already expensive. If they start flooding all the areas with these people, the rents are going to be like Canada. They'll suddenly double. It's not, and people go, oh, I'll get a double job, I'll do this. you know what, I'll just get on a flight to Spain and go and work in a bloody restaurant, because the country is no longer financially viable at that point. And it doesn't mean I've lost my Britishness or lost my connection with Britain. It means I'm waiting for the nation to get to a point where we have a pinnacle change and the direction moves the needle in the right direction. And like I says, the biggest concern I have is when the needle swings, it goes from this leftist nonsense that doesn't even make any sense to the complete extreme. It doesn't normally stop in the middle. But we'll see what happens after the May elections as well, because I think reform's probably going to take a lot of votes, which is going to upset the apple cart. Because if a lot of Labour lose their seats, there's going to be a lot of unhappy people with the Labour government. And they deserve it, to be fair, what they've done to us now. It's bad enough for the Conservatives, my God, why double down? But guys, keep being British, keep being who you are, and don't feel that you owe anybody or should be shy about who you are. These twats are quick enough telling us who they are. If you ever been to London, you'll see, I think it's the Indian flag, I remember, right? There's a massive Indian flag that's down the bottom of Piccadilly. I mean, it's literally, it's ridiculous. It's hung from the top of the building. Other people are quite happy to wave their crap in our face, or their flags or whatever, and then they've got the audacity to criticise us in their own country. To hell with them. We need to push back on this stuff. And I'll be honest with you, it's not normally the Indians, so it's a bit. The only reason I mention it is because the flag is massive. It's like half a car park size. It's ridiculously huge. If I'm in, next time I'm in London, I'll take a picture of it. But all of that is it's like this thing that's going on with India and Pakistan at the moment. That's going to bubble over, and I can see there being some issues here in the UK when it does, because there's about 3 million Pakistanis in the UK and about 3 million Indians. So if they cut the water, India takes the water out of Pakistan, because they're arguing over the Kashmir region at the minute. Good luck, because I can see that bringing famine to Pakistan. And I don't think there is much in the way of interest for people for stopping it these days, because I think people are just tired. The overseas wars, blame Britain for everything. It's becoming a moot point. It's a bit like all the protests for the Free Palestine nonsense every weekend and whatever in London. Don't think anybody listens to it anymore. I find it's all hypocritical. I think they're just very narrow-minded. They're not looking for resolution. In fact, it's played very well in Israel's favour, a lot of the stuff they do. But that's moving past, because they're other people's politics in bloody Britain. We just deal with our own stuff. We're no longer the big empire we once were. So, sorry guys, I'm not really interested in Palestine. Although a lot of you will argue about the treaties that were signed, and on 13 occasions other treaties have been signed around the state of Israel, and I believe Palestine has never signed any of them. So yeah, anyway, leaving it there. I'm not even getting into that stuff, because like I said, I'm interested in Britain, not really interested in other people's problems. They're not mine. Thanks for watching.